The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the team.
On my left, David Franklin and Frank Muir. On my right, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Round one, and I want, please, the title of the piece you hear and the composer, whose name this week begins with the letter D. D for David.
It would be very helpful if you tell us what letter his name begins with other weeks than this.
Well, like last week's C and next week E.
I know, but what you actually said was whose name this week begins with the letter D. One mark?
One day I shall... The letter D is for David Franklin, for disputatious, dogmatic, difficult... dunce.
And the deduction of 1 mark before we start.
D. And, David, will you please listen to this and tell me the name of the composer and the name of the piece?
I should need my tutu for this, shouldn't I?
Yes.
To brush up my arabesques and my pliés.
That's right.
This is ballet music.
Yep.
It's by Dalley.
Thank you. A mark. Yes.
And for the title of it, I'll give you a musical clue, because I like to be helpful. Who is Dara? What is...
Sydney.
Am I right?
You're right.
Sydney. It's called Dara.
You're right.
It's Sylvia.
Sylvia Ballet. The March and Cortege of Bacchus from Sylvia. David has 2 marks, and we move on to Denis Norden.
Oh, that came from a film. That came from Fantasia. That was The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
By?
By Duca.
Yes.
Vernon Duca.
No?
No, it's not Vernon Duca.
Vernon Duca. No, he wrote April in Paris. No, Paul Duca. Yes, I get in terrible trouble with the correspondent who ticks me off for saying Fantasia when I should say Fantasia. Oh. But never mind, we pay no heed to that, and you have 2 marks. And we have now a question for Ian Wallace. Lovely music. Ian.
Shades of Serge Lifar, I believe. And I was very happy that a very kind lady in the audience confirmed my impression that this was the afternoon of a rather curious animal, L'après-midi d'une faune by Debussy.
Yes, you have 2 marks. Lieu de l'après-midi d'une faune. And some music for Frank.
Oh, this is part of my soul. I was always Marker. Marker! The fate of one who's tall. Stand there, line up on you. Jews and Roman Catholics fall out. They go to a rather murky, smelly little room. And this is the Royal Air Force March Past.
And the composer whose name begins with D.
Sir Walford Davies.
Yes, Sir Walford Davies. There's 2 marks. Opera scenes and their settings. David, the scene is laid in an imaginary kingdom of Allemande in medieval times. Which opera for a mark? Allemande.
Germany.
Allemande. Allemande.
Yes, M-O-N-D-E.
In medieval times. I'll be quite honest and truthful with you. I haven't the faintest idea.
It's a tough one, this, but then you're an opera expert. There's a character in this who always makes me laugh because his name is Arkle, and he makes me think of the racehorse. Does that help you at all?
You have a wicked sense of humour. I've no idea still.
No, the manner
Oh, something to do with horses, the ride of the Valkyrie.
No.
I've no idea what it is, Steve.
No, it's a tough one, this, but the opera in which the scene is laid in the imaginary kingdom of Allemande in medieval times was Debussy's Pelléas et Mélisande.
Oh, well, I've never sung in that.
Well, I mean, there are operas that exist that you haven't sung in.
Yes, I know, but this is the point. If I haven't sung in them, I don't know them.
What a shocking admission.
Same with me.
I think that just about covers it, Frank.
I know for a fact that Denis has never sung in this. Denis, the scene is laid in Peking in legendary times.
Aladdin. I sang the chorus in this when the sheet came down. I was on the stage and I got a lolly for it.
You were 20.
Yeah. I was 28 at the time.
Peking?
Oh, yes. Ian has transmitted something. I never know, because you change your pronunciation on this week by week, Steve. It's either Turandot or Turandot.
This week I'm saying Turandot.
Right.
Yes. And you're right. No, you got it from your mate, so that's all right. Yes, a mark for Turandot, Puccini's opera made in Peking in legendary times. Ian, the scene is set in the Borough. Which opera, and for the other half mark, where in real life is the Borough?
Aldborough.
Aldborough, that's right.
And it is the Peter Grimes.
Yes, the opera, that's right. Frank, the scene is laid in ancient Gaul at the time of the war with the Romans. Which opera?
Old gold, blimey, how ashamed I was with myself. Sir. Is it an Italian opera?
Yes.
Oh, right, yes it is. Norma. An opera called Norma. So damn silly name for an opera. Norma.
You're right, Norma. Yes.
Norma.
I'm staggered. Bellini's Norma. All right, it's all about druids and sacred groves and things, and you have a mark. Next round. Music often conveys a picture to the mind, a mood, a scene, or a story. See how near you can get to the composer's original intention. As I ask simply for 2 marks, what does this evoke in your mind, David?
The movement of elephants.
Yes.
How embarrassing for you to talk about that thing.
Because, in fact...
I do wish, Frank, that you wouldn't keep on bringing my family into this program.
Yes, elephants, you think, because, in fact, you recognised it, did you?
Well, I guessed it was.
From the Carnival of the Animals.
Yes.
Saint-Saëns. You have 2 marks, David. Elephants was right. Denis, what does this make you think of?
Ian suggested a gramophone record sticking. Other than that, it made me think of a picnic. But somebody once defined an anteater as anybody who goes on an English picnic. I think a beekeeper as well is a good definition of anybody who goes on English. There were bees in there, and I was holding a hard-boiled egg in one hand and swiping ineffectually with a cardboard plate in the other.
You have 2 marks. We achieved that remarkable piece of tape by looping a little bit out of The Flight of the Bumblebee, Rimsky-Korsakov, making a loop about, 25 inches long or something. That's how it all happened. You have 2 marks.
If you've got nothing better to do with your time.
One of those useless occupations like dusting the spokes of your umbrella. Or weighing the cat.
Ian, your turn to answer a question. What does this make you think of?
The first few phrases made me think of going under an anaesthetic. But after that it got more lively, and one felt some sort of contest or other, like a bullfight or a chariot race.
Keep going.
Yes, you're not looking very encouraging, Steve, up to now. But a race of some kind, or
you could call it that in a sort of way. Yes, the audience knows. I can tell them.
Oh yes, I'm sure they
hear
do.
them saying it. I thought Dennis might know.
But
this.
Rumble, isn't it West Side Story? Isn't it?
No,
It's
no.
a dance of some kind, then.
No, you could not call it a dance, I'm afraid. I really don't think I can give you anything here, except if you like half a mark for guessing what it sounded like to you. Which is, you know.
Well, I wasn't guessing there, I was telling you.
Half a mark there. The audience knows that it was 633 Squadron. Ron Goodwin's theme music from the film was therefore meant to depict an air battle, or at least the
Well, I did
triumph
say a
of air
contest.
forces.
Or a fight.
That's your half mark.
Yeah.
That's your half mark out of 2. Fair enough, I think. Frank, your turn.
It's the Canadian Pacific Railway, a level crossing, where a brass band's trying to cross. You get a rather interesting counterpoint between the whistle of the wood-burning locomotive and the brass of the brass band. That's what it is.
Yes. I can't really fault you on that.
Just outside Winnipeg.
Actually, it's Coronation Scott, just outside Winnipeg, but you've certainly got the right train association there, 2 marks. Glancing at the scoreboard, I see that so far, David and Frank are leading by half a mark. The old keyboard firm of Dalley and Chinn await the pleasure of your company now to sing song. 3 marks if you can complete the song with your sing. David, your turn first, as ever.
And in that farm there were 2 ducks, E-I-E-I-O, with a quack quack here. Oh, really? But I will go through this to the bitter end. With a quack quack here and a quack quack there, here a quack, there a quack, everywhere a quack quack. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Good evening, friend.
David, you have 3 marks and well earned 2. A song from Denis Norden.
Dabbing it here, dabbing it there, paint and powder everywhere. Yes, but Mum was stuck to the ceiling, the kids were stuck to the floor. You never saw such a blooming family so stuck up before. Or notes to that effect.
3 marks and Ian's turn.
One man and his dog went to mow a meadow. Frank Muir went to mow a meadow. Frank Muir and his dog went to mow a meadow. Denis Norden went to mow a meadow. Denis Norden, Frank Muir and his dog went to mow a meadow.
And here's Frank's song.
So deep in the heart, you're really a part of me. I've got you under my skin. I've tried so hard not to give in. I've said to myself, this romance never will go so well. Why should I? When, darling, I know so well I've got you under my skin.
Thank you.
I commemorate anything, come what may, for the wrong of having you near. For, in spite of this voice within, in the dark, repeat and repeat in my ear, don't you know, say fool, you never can win. Use your mentality. Wake up to reality.
I see you still got those house records.
And the thought of you makes me stop, which I'm sure you all vaguely.
2 marks for starting and a 3rd mark for stopping. Thank you, Frank. Total 3. Odds and ends of musical information for 2 marks. David, what is the difference between an aubade, a matina, and an alborada?
An aubade is a song of the dawn. What was the next one?
Matina.
That's a morning song.
And an alborado. Alborada, sorry.
They're all three the same in different languages.
That's right. No difference at all. They're all morning songs. That's right.
I get through in the end. Bloodhound Frank.
Well done, yes. French, Italian and Spanish words for morning song. Also, of course, the German Morgenlied. Opposite of an evening song, or serenade, in fact. 2 marks. Denis, if Count Razumovsky, Count Waldstein and the Archduke Rudolph met in the Elysian fields, who would they be most likely to talk about?
By Dolly, that's a baffler. I have met some funny questions in my... Ian, would you know who... I mean, they would be likely to talk about anybody in the Elysian fields. Did you know that Beethoven would never recognize Moonlight Sonata because he called it by a different name?
You have 2 marks.
Huh?
It's exactly the kind of thing they might say, because the friend they all had in common was Beethoven, and I do congratulate you, Denis.
Well, all I can say is, thank goodness I kept my big mouth shut.
As
I was going to say something quite different.
As Denis was about to say, the Razumovsky Quartet, the Waldstein Sonata and the Archduke Trio were dedicated respectively to those 3 gentlemen. And you were absolutely right, Denis, for 2 marks.
I was thinking they were characters in operetta.
Archduke Rudolph really sounds operetta-ish, doesn't he?
I have knowledge that I don't even know.
Some people are just overflowing with it, you know. You don't know your own strength, obviously. Ian, here's your turn to shine. What is a charivari?
A charivari?
Charivari. C-H-A-R-I-V-A-R-I. Question mark.
It's a collection of frivolous items.
Not quite good enough, because you're thinking of that front page of Punch.
Yes, I am. Charivari.
This, of course, is a music quiz, not my word.
I don't really think I know this one at all.
No. Well, musically, charivari is a hubbub of music made deliberately discordant, played with kettles, tin cans, etc., perhaps outside the house of someone unpopular. Hubbub is what it means, a hubbub.
A hubbub.
Musical rhubarb.
Yes.
Well, I'm very glad to have found that out. Ask me again next week, the same question.
Well, there you are. Frank, would you like to join me in a brindisi? If so, what is it? And if not, why not?
Picking up my thumb, something evil. It's a dance in Macbeth, and also in, what is it?
Traviata.
Also in Traviata, when Traviata was feeling particularly ill.
Yes. I want to know, though, what it is. And dance is not... No, I can't accept that, I'm afraid.
It's a dance which comes from the Brindisi area from North Africa.
Now, I want to know the meaning of a brindisi. A brindisi is something or other.
Well, you're asking too much. A perfectly rational answer to your question.
Well,
it's a drinking song.
No.
Yes, it is.
You're getting near it.
Well,
I think I must give you
witches
1
drink.
out of 2, yes.
I have a newt and whatnot, you know.
If I say, here's to Frank on his 100th birthday, then I am offering a...
Insult.
An insult. I think you
toast.
A toast. I must give you the 2, I think, because you said a drinking song. A toast. A brindisi means toast in Italian.
For half a mark on this burger.
And Brindisi is mentioned in La Traviata, in Cavalleria Rusticana, and in Donizetti's Lucrezia Borgia. Though, in fact, a Brindisi with a Borgia was not a good idea, was it? Come to think of it. I think you'll get your 2 marks there. Let's look at the score. Leading at the moment in this stage in the game by 1.5 marks, Ian and Denis.
That's my profound knowledge of Beethoven. I think I'll just sling a few more.
Goal average, I think.
And we come to songs from the shows. The name of the show, please, and the name of the composer. David.
The minute you walk in the door.
A real big spender. Hey, good... Oh, no, I can't get the words out. Comes from an American musical play.
Help him, Frank. Go on. Help him. Be charitable.
Come on.
Thank you, sir.
Come on, sweet.
I don't know
Sweet.
it.
Say sweet.
Sweet. Oh, Sweet Charity.
Well
Sweet
done.
Charity. Sweet Charity, yes.
He was just going to say Sweet Genevieve then. Sweet Charity, you're absolutely right, David. Your knowledge is equal to Denis's of Beethoven. Sweet Charity, and the other mark for the name of the composer. No,
I
must tell you
pass.
this one. No, Cy Coleman, the name of the composer. 1 out of 2.
There's a
Denis.
composer called what?
Cy Coleman.
I'll just make a note of that.
Denis Norden's turn.
Is it the song that goes big D, little A, 2 L's and...
That's the one, yes.
Yes, that counts for Most Happy Fella.
Yes, 1 mark by...
Frank Lesser.
For the other mark, thank you. And some music. And 1 for Ian Wallace.
Gypsy.
Yes, and the composer.
Julie Stein.
Or as Denis would have it, Jule Stein. Yes, he told us that the other week.
Julie.
Yeah. That's right, Gypsy by Stein. There's your 2 marks. I must just break off and tell you I think the most dynamic experience I had at the musical theatre was I went to see that show on Broadway, Gypsy. I sat in what turned out to be the corner seat in the back row of the whole theatre. And Ethel Merman came through to me like a bomb. What a performer, that woman.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
And the
marvellous.
most beautifully set song in a musical.
That one.
Her last song.
Yes.
That is in any musical a showstopper.
You saw it on Broadway too?
No. I saw the film. Who gets to Broadway? Broadway is about the music.
Well, there you are.
Clapham on Broadway.
Having digressed, I now regress, or whatever the thing is. Whatever the word is, you've got 2 marks. Frank Muir, here's a show for you. And a composer, please.
Though the pipes that supply the bathroom burst and the lavatory makes you fear the worst, it was used by Charles I, quite informally, and later by George IV, on the journey north.
Oh, it's Noel Coward operetta, isn't it?
Operette. You're right. And that ends my music for this week. I'm very sorry to have to say. It's a victory by 2.5 marks for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. At the keyboards were Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn, and the chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music. A musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the team.
Thank you. Another edition of My Music, and once again it's my pleasure to introduce to you the pantological Mr. David Franklin, his partner the fastigiate Frank Muir, opposing them the Molinistic Ian Wallace and the excandescent Denis Norden.
You've been reading.
Round the first, composer and title, please, and you'll find that the composer's name begins with the letter E. We begin with David Franklin. David.
Lady of Spain.
Thank you. By.
Well, it can't be by Edward Elgar. E for Ernest Tomlinson. E for Edward German. Both of those are non-starters. I'm not putting them forward.
Surname. It's the surname.
Edwards.
No.
Evans. Oh, I remember. It's Pilchard Evans.
There's something a little fishy about the name, but it's Tolchard.
Tolchard.
Thank you. Yes, he wrote Lady of Spain, his greatest hit, I think. 2 marks to David Franklin. Dennis, here's one for you. Again, the composer's name begins with an E, and disregard any name you may have heard in the last couple of minutes. Lovely tune, rather sentimental, and an early work by, do you know?
Well, purely on the clue that you transmitted, I got to Elgar, which was then substantiated by Ian during the course of the melody, and he said something morning, or morning something. And I can only think of Morning Glory, Morning becomes Electra.
Morning. I can't really give this to you because unless you're thinking of Salut d'Amorning, because Salut d'Amour. Anyway, 1 mark for Sir Edward Elgar. Ian, your turn.
That is, I think if that had gone on, we might possibly have heard Georges Guettari singing in his inimitable way, and that means the composer is Vivian Ellis, and it comes from Bless the Bride.
Yes. You must have sung it.
Bella Margherita.
Yes, Ma Bella Margherita, yes, you're right there, with 2 marks, and I think that's real talent to write an introduction that everybody can recognise before the tune even starts. Frank Muir, one for you. The next voice you hear will be the voice of Frank Muir.
This is a tone poem evoking what happened when the cow swallowed the bottle of ink.
Yeah. Yes.
Mood indigo. Duke Ellington.
Yes, that's right. Duke Ellington's Mood Indigo. There's 2 marks for you. End of the first round. We move on to the next round. General musical knowledge. This will sort you out. David, whose music accompanied John Mills to the Antarctic, and which symphony did it become?
I guess that it was Vaughan Williams.
That's right, for a
and
mark.
it was therefore his Symphony Antarctica.
For the other mark, based on music written originally for Scott of the Antarctic, the 1949 film. 2 marks. Dennis, what is a precentor?
Well, I would say it's something to do with teaching.
No. Ian.
I'm not very helpful here. But sort of feeling as in a choir, this might be the chap who would sing the theme solo, and then the rest of them would join in.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I must give you that for 2 marks. I've got here the actual words. Anglican cleric in charge of vocal music to whom organist is technically subordinate. One who, in the absence of an organ, starts off the hymns and leads the singing. Ian, Alphonse Daudet wrote the play. Bizet, the incidental music, which he turned into 2 orchestral suites. What is the name, and what does the word mean?
Well, the play was La Lesienne.
Yes, that's 1 mark, and what does it mean?
Good gracious.
It means for the female
Arles.
Female citizen of Arles.
Of Arles.
Yes, they do nicely. The girl
a town in France.
It's on the Rhone. Yes, the girl from Arles, and you have 2 marks. Frank.
Not Owl, Yorkshire.
Frank, as a child, he was praised by monarchs. He played with Marie Antoinette, met the great men of his age, and yet his patron called him a vile wretch and a low fellow and made him eat with the servants. Who was the musician and who was his patron?
The only 2 child prodigies I know are Julie Andrews and Mozart.
Well, it's one of those.
It's one of those. Question is which? It's
Would you like to give you a hint?
I think I'll come down fairly heavily on the side of the boy Mozart.
That's for 1 mark. Who was his patron for the other?
Sounds more like his agent, doesn't it? Come on. I whisper. You don't make it look obvious. You humiliate me.
His patron in Vienna was the Archbishop of Salzburg.
Was he?
Yes.
Apparently he was undergoing a dose of Salzburg here. His patron was the Archbishop of Salzburg.
There's your other mark. Thank you. Yes. We move on now to the next round, and this time the subject is ranks in the army, if you can believe that. A mark if you can name the rank. David Franklin.
Don't forget to wake me in the morning and bring me round a nice hot cup of tea.
Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major, it's right. For a mark. Yes.
And Mother. Mother is a rank.
It's all right.
Probably the loveliest rank in the world.
Well, that's Sergeant Major, yes, for David Franklin. 1 mark. And the rank, please, Denis Norden.
Major galloping.
Yes, Major galloping, yes. Hey, Barther, clear the way. Here comes the galloping Major. You're right for a mark. Ian, in your case, please, the highest rank mentioned.
Not only a general, but it's a great big general,
yes,
as far as I remember.
Yes, they're bigger than the ordinary kind. That's right. A mark
Shades of Cicely Courtnidge.
Yes, a mark for general. And Frank, again, please, the highest rank mentioned.
There's many an airman just finished his time, and many a twerk signing on.
Bless them all. Bless all sergeants.
And
W01s, warrant officer first class.
Right.
Bless all the corporals and their sons.
You've got a mark for your first class, your warrant officer first class. This round is about musical instruments, mainly instruments from the misty past. David, what is a clavier, and who disliked bad-tempered ones?
Clavier is a keyboard instrument, and it was J.S. Bach who disliked the bad-tempered clavier. She wrote a series of pieces for the well-tempered clavier.
Thank you for 2 marks. Dennis, to you I issue a clarion call and ask what was or is a clarion?
Well, my association with the word clarion is that in sort of B-picture films, where they daren't mention the name of any national newspaper, the reporter always says, "I'm from the Clarion."
That's true, yes. It does, yes.
It was some kind of call. It must have been some kind of bugle, I should think. It was always a clarion call to battle.
Yes, that's right, an old form of trumpet or bugle. Your reporter always rings in at some time in the film to the clarion and says, "Hold the front page."
Yeah.
Too. Always hold the front page.
City desk.
Want to get me fish off it. I thought they'd put in an amusing comment. Cheer the thing up.
Ian, who first played a liar and how? When I say who, I mean which race of people? A liar.
The Assyrians.
Thank you very much, yes. They played the lyre. You have a mark for that. How do you play the lyre? By...
Well, you pluck it. I mean, a stringed instrument.
Not so, actually.
Not so?
No, half a mark, I think, 1.5 out of 2. You strum it with a plectrum with the right hand while stopping the strings with the left. So you really don't pluck it, you strum it. And that's essentially the difference.
Do you know the Afghanistan word for guitar is rhubarb? I just thought I'd mention it.
It really is. Hence, guitar and custard, which is the national...
My dog told me.
Frank, it's your turn now. What is a flageolet, or a flageolet, if you prefer, and where on the menu do you find it? Sorry about that.
It's a bean.
Yes.
The shape of a kidney.
So you find it in the vegetables, yes. And
It's an old French, the word. It originally came from 13th century when there was a strange religious sect which used to beat each other over the head with jugs of hot milk. The flageolet. Apart from that, it looks like a large recorder with a bulge near the top.
Couldn't be better. A 6-hole instrument of the recorder type, although I prefer your French origin story, actually. 2 marks, thank you. Here are some new dances, well, they were new at the time anyway, which were introduced by one Frederick Austerlitz, otherwise known, Dennis, as...
Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire, yes. So 3 marks here for the name of the dance, the film in which it was introduced, and the name of Fred Astaire's dancing partner in that film. David Franklin. You know this without
It's the
help.
Continental, yes.
Yes.
Gay divorce.
Yes,
and his dance partner was Ginger Roberts.
Absolutely.
Ginger Rogers. Ginger Roberts. I knew her name, but I was so excited about getting a question about films that I could answer.
Yes. Anyway, there's 3 marks. And Dennis, a rather difficult one, but I think you might get it because you're something of an expert on film. So here's yours. That's one the audience won't tell you for a start.
It's a Johnny Mercer tune.
Yes, that's right.
Well, then it's got a terribly difficult title like Blueface or something
You're nearly
like
there, yes.
Like that. It comes from Daddy Longlegs.
Yes, that's a mark. Dancing partner?
Leslie Caron.
Yes, another mark. And the title?
It's something like, it's one of those names they used to give to, it was a college scene. They were all college kids dancing. Right. It was sort of the wiggle, Blueface wiggle or something.
I must give you it. Just for interest, does anybody in the audience know the name of it? Slewfoot. Thank you, madam. Yes, that's what you meant, Dennis, wasn't it? I'm going to give you that. 3 marks. Slewfoot, Daddy Longlegs. We'd rather run out of dancing partners here, so Ian, in your case, the name of the dance, the name of the film, and the name, please, of the composer. A discordant version.
Piccolino.
Yes.
And it was Top Hat.
Yep.
And it wasn't Isaiah, it was Irving Berlin.
Yes, Irving Berlin. There's your 3rd mark. Frank, again, please, the dance, the film, and the composer.
Karaoke.
I helped you a bit past. Yes, the karaoke. The film.
It was Flying Down to Rio.
And the composer, please.
The composer surely was... Cole Porter.
No.
No, well, I say Cole Porter. I mean... Just seeing how alert you were.
That's right, yes. Give or take 100.
Jerome...
No,
I don't know.
With our alphabetical composer, we shall get to him quite late in the series. Vincent Youmans. I think 2 out of 3. Opera. Opera or perhaps operetta. Just 2 marks for the name of the work. David.
Chewing boy.
Carmen, Act 3.
Yeah. With a sort of a game, yes?
Yes.
A card game.
They're playing cards. Well, they're not playing cards. They're telling fortunes by means of cards.
Yes.
And it's all very ominous.
2 marks for Carmen for David Franklin. Dennis, again, please, the name of the work.
Girls, were made to love and kiss, and who am I to interfere with this? Is it well? Who can tell? But I know the good God made it so.
Well, I know it's Les Havres because I've got a record of Anthony Newley singing it.
Does that follow necessarily?
No, but it's written on the record.
Oh, I see.
I phrased that wrong.
It's the best way of finding out, I always think.
But it doesn't say on the record what the name of the work is. So Newley lets one down again.
Doesn't even give the violinist after whom it was named, does it?
Paganini.
Mr.
Paganini.
All right, shall we give you that one, I think? Shall we give that one, audience? Yes. 2 marks, Paganini. Ian, yours is rather brief. Here it is. Now, I think, in fairness, we might perhaps give you a little bit more.
No, I don't need any more.
Really? No, take your point.
And I'll
Let's
tell you
hear just
why
a
I
little
don't
bit.
need any more, because the sound of that voice is unmistakable. And it is the voice of David Franklin.
It is, actually, yes.
There you are. I knew it was, because by a happy chance, I have that recording at home. That's why I'm so sure about this.
That's where that fourpence came from.
It is unmistakable that many people have essayed this role of the commendatore in Don Giovanni, but nobody provides this particular moment in quite the way that David Franklin does. It is the moment when Don Giovanni has gone into a cemetery. There is a statue of the man whom he has killed in the very first scene, and out of bravado he asks the statue to come to supper. And the statue replies, yes, or si. And one of the great operatic experiences of this century was to see David Franklin dressed as a statue, embellished by this wonderful costume. But in this particular situation at Glyndebourne, you paid heavily there to have your blood chilled, but by Jove, you had it.
May I just say that for the 2 seconds in which I sang that note, I was, for a brief but ecstatic moment, the highest paid singer in the world. Because when we recorded that in 1936 at Glyndebourne, we played a flat rate of £4 a side. Don Giovanni sang on 25 sides and got £100 for 4 mornings' work. I sang on 4 sides in one morning, and I got a cheque for £20. And I couldn't make out why I'd got £20 for 4 sides. Then I suddenly realized this one word, C, was on one side in the middle of a duet. And for that one note, I got £4. Not even Gilles was paid at £4 a note. My trouble was I didn't keep it up long enough.
Anyway, there's 2 marks. Frank, which opera or operetta, please, does this come from?
When I was a lad, I served a term as office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor, and I polished up the handle of the big front door.
Let me clear that I was not singing. It's Mr. Sullivan's work, with music by with words by Mr. Gilbert.
And Sir Gilbert and Sir Sullivan.
Not them.
Oh.
I don't know whether I'm right, but neither does he. It's Gilbert and Sullivan's HMS Pinafore.
Pinafore for 2 marks, yes. Well, now we do get some singing. It's the old keyboard firm of Dalley and Chinn, and they start off a well-known song, and you finish it, please, for 3 marks. We begin with David Franklin.
There's a quaint little pot by the sea.
Pot?
There's a little green gate. By the lettuce I'll wait, when 2 eyes of blue come smiling through at me.
I think that quaint little pot by the sea was left there by a Jerry. I don't know. Anyway, I have a cot by the sea. C-O-T. Anyway, you get 3 marks, David. And we have a song for Denis Norden.
The sun shines east, the sun shines west. I know how you put me. Frank was macking about.
Get an indirect free kick.
I knew a soprano who got £4 for saying yes. Do you want any more of that? By the famed... Was that the right bit I came in?
Oh, it was lovely, yes. Just
where the sun
for your
shines,
3rd mark, tell me what your heartstrings were
Mammy,
tangled around, will you?
My heartstrings are tangled around Alabama.
3 marks!
Right, stop.
Must stop him. Must stop him. And some proper singing from Ian Wallace.
The mother of the free. This is very low. How shall we extol thee, who are born of thee?
2, 3, 4.
Wider still and wider shall thy bound be set. God who made thee mighty, made thee mightier yet thee. God who made thee mighty, make thee mightier yet.
The only thing Frank can do after that is declare war.
Let's see what he does with this, Frank.
Too long people together.
Waltz should last forever.
And that ends my music for this week. I'm very sorry to have to say. It's a victory by 1.5 marks for David and Frank Muir. Good night.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. At the keyboards were Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn, and the chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the program was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the teams.
Hello and welcome to another edition of My Music. David Franklin and Frank Muir competing against Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. And we begin with a simple round in which the contestants are asked to name the composer, whose name begins with an F, and name the composition which does not begin with an F. David, F for Franklin, you first.
This comes from an opera called Marta by a composer called Flotov. He wrote a flot of operas. Anything else you want? It's an aria for tenor. It's called Ma Paris.
That's what I wanted for your
it's
second.
It's very high, very difficult to sing.
Yes, Ma Paris by Flotov. Thank you, there's 2 marks. Denis Norden.
Like a pack of angry wolves on the trail, we are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive, and we'll get you sure if you're the one that arrives.
It's so nice that it's not opera. It's Rosemary.
Yes.
Which is by Rudolf Frimmel.
That's your other mark. Thank you. I don't wish to know any more.
Oh, no.
That's 2 marks. Ian Wallace's turn.
A song that somehow one associates rather with Bing Crosby many years ago, called Beautiful Dreamer.
Yes.
By Stephen Foster.
Yes. 2 marks.
It's one of the great soppy songs of all time.
Yes.
Lovely to sing when you've had a few.
Yeah.
Frank, I'd like to hear you sing this when you've had a few. See if you know what this is.
I defy you not to give me full marks. It's a name that starts with a D in this section of composers whose names start with F. Mr. Defier.
Any idea what the piece was called?
Yes, it's called the Ritual Fire Dance.
Yes.
In my day.
From El Amor Brujo.
It took
From
you
El Leonard Amor Brujo.
Yes. Yes, El Amor Brujo, Love the Magician. You got 2 marks. Here are some musical terms or expressions. David, what is a Liedertafel?
What?
Liedertafel.
It's choral society, glee club.
Yes. Strictly, it means a song table. One would sit around a table singing glees or songs or catches. Schubert and his friends, for instance, a word used in Germany for a group or club of men who do part singing, similar to the French orphéon. 2 marks, David.
Spit on each other, wouldn't they? They'd be too close, really.
You need a very big table for somebody singing the Messiah.
Denis, running all through Die Meistersinger is what you might call a theme song, the prize song, in fact. And I think your partner may be able to give us a bar or 2 of how it goes. Can you la it?
It's not really one of my operas. That's.
Anyway, your question, Dennis. Nothing to do with Meistersinger at all. Which was the first film theme song, and in which film?
Oh, it's funny, the question that starts, running all through the Meistersinger. There was a competition once of, if you opened a newspaper, what would the first 3 words of any article most likely to put you off from reading the article? And somebody suggested an article that starts, if as seems unlikely. I get the same putting off with running all through. The first theme song of a film. The first song in a film was in The Jazz Singer in 1927.
The song being?
The song in that was one that was immortalised in a recent My Music called Mammy.
Stick with the same performer and see how you get on.
Al Jolson.
Yes.
Well, then there was The Singing Fool.
That's 1 mark for you, and the song?
The song in that was Sonny Boy.
Yes.
Was that her?
It ran through.
I see.
Reliably assured 2 marks. Ian, question for you. What is a short score?
Well, really, when you're all out 29. And no extras.
Yes.
A short score, presumably a musical score.
Sure.
For a something like the overture to Susanna's Secret, which lasts 2.5 minutes.
Oh, Ian. Ian.
Well, that would be a short score.
Yes, it would. Yes. I really must give you 1 out of 2.
Score with 4 pages missing.
That'd be a score short.
People used to turn up at band rehearsal with it, sort of Salford Hippodrome. I haven't got the violin party again.
I really can't give you more than 1 out of 2, Ian. That's generous, because you'll miss the whole essence of the thing. It's a condensed version of a full score. All the notes are there, but several instruments might be condensed onto one stave, or perhaps several voices, you see.
Yes.
I mean, the ordinary SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, a hymn written on 2 staves instead of 4 is really, in a sense, a kind of shortened score. It's shortened in a vertical sense, not in a horizontal sense.
Not a word of that penetrated me.
Never mind, Frank, this is your moment. For 2 marks, what is a tam-tam, and where would you find one? Assuming, of course, that you wanted to.
1 or 2, presumably. A tam-tam is surely it's that sort of gurgling noise that you get on playing a tom-tom on somebody's empty tum-tum. Am I warm?
No, you're really as cold as you could be.
Have you got any thoughts on this? Dozing away there.
I'm dozing. I was awake and enjoying you. It's a percussion instrument.
It's lofty here. Says that it's a percussion instrument.
Well, there you are.
Stave, it's used by percussionists. They strike it with another instrument, and you find it in the percussive sector of your orchestra or your band, as you might say, or to coin a phrase, and that's what it is.
Well, you have it for a mark, but what is it?
What are we all? I mean, who can say what is the point of these things? Do you mean what is it in terms of atomic, molecular... What? A gong. It's a gong.
There's your other mark, yes. The circumlocuitous, or whatever it is, Frank Muir came up with it, the gong in the percussion section. Done. Yes, 2 marks. Some general knowledge about some of the great composers. David, 3 of the greatest composers in musical history all knew one another, all lived in the same city. Half a mark for each of their names and another half mark, making 2 in all, for naming the city.
Well, let's name the city first.
How?
Vienna.
Vienna for the city, half a mark.
And I should think... Is Haydn one of them?
Yes.
And Mozart's one of them?
Yes.
Watch him, see if he twitches. No, it can't be Beethoven. It can't be Beethoven.
I don't know why it shouldn't be. He's your other half mark.
It was Beethoven. No, Mozart.
Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, all knew one another. Yes, 1.5 plus a half.
Well, I blundered into a maximum.
2 marks. There we are, yes. Dennis, it's always rather pleasant to see experts proved hopelessly wrong. So can you tell me who was born in Italy, 1813 actually, became a composer as a boy, but was rejected by Milan Conservatory as overage and insufficiently gifted? Who was he? And for your second mark, when did he die?
Try Verdi. Try the Verdi today. Try Verdi.
Try Verdi for a mark. And when did he die? Within a couple of years.
The faintest. Do you know that Giuseppe Verdi, literally translated, is Joe Green? You knew that? Yeah. Well, do you know when he died?
1901.
About 1901.
Precisely.
It could have been about 15:15, don't you?
Precisely 1901, and there's your 2 marks out of 2. Good. Still with composers, Ian, 2 famous composers died of typhus and a third of cholera. Who were they? And for your extra half mark, which of them died first?
Tchaikovsky.
Yes, of cholera. All right. There's a half mark.
Schumann.
No, nearly right.
Schubert.
Yes.
I knew we'd get him in this round somewhere.
Yes, this is a difficult one, so I'll help you a bit. And the other one, he died young as well.
Mozart.
Yes, Mozart and Schubert died of typhus, Tchaikovsky of cholera, and which of them then died first?
Mozart.
Yes. Long before Mozart died.
We had the brain in overdrive there for a minute.
Yes, you've got 2 marks all the same. Mozart died in 1791, Schubert not until 1828, and Tchaikovsky much, much later. Frank, one of our greatest composers got into trouble at a coronation for selling black market tickets of admission to the organ loft. Later, he died of a chill, thought to be contracted by being locked out of his own house overnight by his jealous wife. Who was he, and whose was the coronation?
It's not Sid Leatherbarrow, is it?
No, I can confidently say it's not.
Because this happened to Sid Leatherbarrow. he actually used to blow the bellows. He didn't play it, but he did flog tickets for quite a recent coronation. And
really?
the vicar came up and said, "Who is this dire person?" And that's why the big pipes are called double dire person.
No, this one's wrong.
David says try Purcell.
Yes. And can you tell me whose coronation?
Try James II.
Okay, I will. Hang on. Don't go away, David. Steve?
Yes, sir.
James II.
Oh, lucky Jim. You're right. Yes.
We get paid for it, really.
This is the bit that's really remarkable you get paid for, the singing round now. Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn start you off with some familiar songs. 3 marks for taking over successfully where they leave off. David.
I'm it's very high. Crazy, all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage. I can't afford a carriage. But you'll look sweet upon the seat of a tandem.
C. Yes, 3 marks. And a song from Denis Norden.
They all go out for a walk. A quiet old spoon and a talk. That's the time they long for, just before the night. And many a grand little wedding is planned in the twilight.
Yes.
I got through that, didn't I?
You did,
Got
yes.
all the way
yes.
through that.
I preferred the key in which you ended to the one of the
I like the way they join him for a professional singer, but a professional writer, they leave all on his todder.
We're going to have a solo now from Ian Wallace. Ian.
There were lots of lads and lasses, oh, all with smiling faces, gunning along the southward road to see the Bladen races.
Frank.
Hi, Delilah. Oh, my eye, Delilah. I could see this girl was no good for me. But I could not get... God could make a tree. It's only an approximation, I will confess. Only an approximation.
3 marks for neatness. We've had opera titles from time to time, opera singers and so on. Now for some of the opera stories and allied subjects. David, who wrote an opera about and named after 2 famous composers and about the notion, false actually, that one of them poisoned the other?
Tchaikovsky wrote, and it was about Mozart and Salieri. Next question.
Not Tchaikovsky. Rimsky-Korsakov.
I just did that to see if you know.
Mozart and Salieri, written in 1898, based on Pushkin's poem. Dennis, can you name 2 musical dragons and tell me, please, where you'd find them?
Is it? Magic flute. One is in the magic flute. There wouldn't be very much room in it for him. But apparently he's in the magic flute.
A dragon in the magic flute?
Well, I listened. I just tell you what I hear. I can't vouch for any of this. Yes, there is a dragon in the magic flute.
There really is.
If Ian says so.
Yes, well, there you are. All right,
if Ian
yes.
says so. Let him write in if it's
His
wrong.
name?
There's one called Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yes, that's the one I had in mind. Where would you find him?
Oh, you'd find him on a Nina and Frederick recording.
Yes, you might find him there, that's right.
I thought of another one.
I thought of another one.
Yes, go
There's
on.
a song called Dragon Along the Prairie. We just had another flash. There's a dragon in Carmen. No, I see what you mean now. Carmen dragon. There's a musical dragon. What would you call him? You'd call him Mr. Dragon or Carmen.
Or Maestro.
Depending upon how you knew him. Yes, or Maestro.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 marks.
Occupant, if you're sending a letter to him.
That's very clever. I'm going to give you 2 marks after 2 and abandon all efforts to make you say Fafner, the dragon in Siegfried, out of Wagner's Ring.
I've known Dennis for 23 years. I've never heard him say Fafner.
Well, no wonder I failed. Yeah. Ian, where do you find Scarpia, Spoletta and Scarone, and what are their jobs?
Scarpia was the chief of police in Rome some considerable time ago. Sharone, you forgive me for correcting your pronunciation.
Sorry. That is correct.
Yes. Sharone was the jailer and torturer employed by Scarpia to torture Cavaradossi, a painter with political opinions that Scarpia didn't agree with.
Them, yes. Spoletta?
Spoletta was the sort of head of Scarpia's MI5. He was the chap who went round and was his sort of detective, uniformed usually.
And where do you find them all?
You find them in Puccini's opera Tosca.
Tosca, thank you. 2 marks, yes.
I shouldn't get a clap for that because that's one of the operas I've sung in, so I ought to know. Thank you all the same.
You played the part of the dragon, didn't you? Frank, where do you find ping, pang and pong, and what do they do?
Hang on, message coming through. Muir to base. Ah, yes, I remember. I've seen this one. I've seen it.
I know, you saw it in Moscow.
There wasn't a Bolshoi. It was a Turandot.
Yes.
It's by a chap called Pakaini.
Yes, I want to know what they do.
Ah, yes. Well, you see, it's the story of this Oriental court in China, and these three they were rather comical when I saw it. There are three Chinese chaps who
Court official.
what?
Court official.
They're court officials.
I think we give you your two there because you had the right idea and certainly the right opera. Ping, the Grand Chancellor, pang, the Chief Cook, pong, the General Purveyor. We move on now to the next round, and it's songs from films and shows, old and new. The title of the song, please, and its composer, David. I should have said the title of the show, and its composer.
First, Roberta.
Roberta, yes, and its composer.
Jerome Kern. No, Jerome Kern.
Jerome Kern, yes, thank you. Roberta, Jerome Kern. Dennis.
If you were the only girl in the world, and I were the only boy.
It's the Bing Boys. Well, the first one was called The Bing Boys Are Here.
That's the one. Yes.
And it was by Nat D. Air.
That's right. And I still think it's a marvellous tune, that. Do you know the year, that show?
Well, it would be during the First World War.
Yes,
it would be about 1916.
That's right. George Robey was in it. Yes, you're right.
And Violet Lorraine.
I remember George Robey's son, who is a distinguished judge, telling me once that he remembered as a boy in the house, the Robey household, when that show was being rehearsed. And he said, I can remember my father coming home with a song and saying, they've given me a song to sing, it's not my style of thing at all, it'll never take, it's no use at all. And put up on the piano, if you were the only girl in the world.
Oh, lovely. A lovely story. Here's one for you to guess in. Once again, please, the show and its composer.
Falling in love with someone by Victor Herbert.
Yes.
From Naughty Marietta.
That's right, 2 marks. Frank Muir, one for you.
It's called Call Me Madam.
Yes.
Written by Irving Berlin.
You've got it. And that's the end of the game, I'm afraid. A victory this week for David Franklin and Frank Muir.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. At the keyboards were Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn, and the chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the team.
Here we are again, happy as can be, all good pals and jolly good value for the fee they give us. On my left, Frank Muir and David Franklin. On my right, Denis Norden and Ian Wallace. First round then, title and composer, please. And you'll find that the composer's name begins with G. David Franklin, here's your G composer. David.
This is a friend of Ian's.
Yes, it is.
This is one of the Russian composers that Ian knows. G for Glinka, the father of Russian music. And it's the overture to Ruslan and Ludmilla.
Perfect. 2 marks. Denis Norden, who's this, please, and what? Denis.
Grieg, Anitra's Dance, Peer Gynt's Suite, 3-piece covered in uncut moquette.
And do you agree with him? Well, you have 2 marks.
He tried to bluff us out of it for a moment.
It's always worth a shot. Ian, no need to write this, just speak when you know. Who is the composer and what's the name of the piece? Accompanying poteado from Frank, and Ian will now tell us what it is.
That put me off a great deal, Frank's Spanish bit there.
From the north.
But I think this is a little bit of a double bluff here, because I think that's Grieg as well.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, no, no.
Oh, no.
No.
All we want is
Oh, no.
How you want
We know.
Spanish
we want a Spanish composer now, do we?
with G.
Not Grams.
Peter Grams, yes.
No, I'm
Not so great over as Grams, actually. Granados, the composer. Which part of Spain would you like to choose for the title?
Granada.
I do my level best for you in no time. It was Andalusa. Spanish dance, number 5 in E minor or Playera by Granados. So I can't give you any marks.
No, that's weird. I won't hold it against you.
Oh, good, no. Or are you? Let's see how Frank gets on. Got a feeling your partner's no help on this one.
He's giggling and saying Gajchowski. There's your musicologist for you. It's ballet music, anyway.
That's a very good... You've got a mark almost there. It's a composer you almost always mispronounce, I've noticed in the past.
The field is too wide. An overseas gentleman.
Yes.
Gounod, yes. It's ballet music from Faust.
That's 1 mark.
I thought... No. The dance from Faust goes, Faust, you put your tune in. This is the ballet, is it?
Yes, it's a ballet, and you all tell him it's Gounod, and he'll know who you mean.
Steve, it's Gounod.
Yes.
Ballet music from Faust.
Yeah, ballet music from Faust is 1 mark, and you always say Gounod for some reason. This is Gounod, and you've got 2 marks. Why not? Very good, well done. We move on to the next round. Let's see how you are on the musical repertoire in general. For 2 marks, David, which exhibition painting would be most welcome on a poultry farm?
This is a rather sleight of hand reference to Mussorgsky, isn't it?
That's
Pictures
right.
from the exhibition.
Yes.
There's something about egg cackling, isn't there?
Nearly, yes. You've got the right one, the right movement.
What's it?
The ballet of...
Well, the belly of the chickens.
No, it's earlier than that.
The belly of the eggs.
You can't get earlier than that, otherwise you come back to chickens again.
I must give you this because you did some very rapid detective work. It refers to pictures from an exhibition by Mussorgsky, the ballet of the unhatched chicks. Dennis, who had a merry doll and a sad doll, and from whom?
Guys and dolls. The sad doll is Adelaide.
Oh, really? Adelaide
Evelove in Adelaide. Yeah.
News to me, but go on.
And the merry one, I can't remember her name, but she sang If I Was a Bell, I'd Be Ringing.
No, we are adrift. It was Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret Rose who had a merry doll and a sad doll. Does that tell you the rest of it? Yes or no?
No. Filled with respect.
It was Sir Edward Elgar who composed the Nursery Suite. He dedicated to the Princess Elizabeth, the then Princess Margaret Rose, the 2 daughters of the Duke and Duchess of York, who were in fact present at the first recording of his Nursery Suite. The 2 of the movements were called Merry Doll and Sad Doll. No marks, I'm afraid. Ian, yours is in 3 parts, really. Where would you find a furtive tear? Who shed tears for souvenirs, and who let fall an itty-bitty tear?
Well, the first one was shed by a young chap called Nemorino in an opera called The Elixir of Love, or Elisir d'Amore, by Donizetti.
Thank you. Half a mark each for those, total 1.
What a lot of work for half a mark.
A lifetime's musical study.
Yes, absolutely.
The winning of half a mark.
It's only one of those lucky things I happen to have taken part in the opera at some point.
Were you the good Dolly?
Do I look it?
Tears for souvenirs. Yeah.
I think that's more likely to come from my partner here.
It's Ken Dodd.
Yes. Half a mark. And
itty bitty tear I would have associated with Burl Ives.
That's right, for your other half. Total 2. Thank you. Frank, what are Little Russian and Pathetic?
Virgin Sturgeon.
Tchaikovsky wrote a pathetic symphony.
Tchaikovsky's Pathetic Symphony.
Yes, that's one of them. Yes, and the Little Russian.
Another work of Tchaikovsky's.
Work of Tchaikovsky when young.
Well, when younger, certainly. Yes, Pathetic being his 6th symphony, and the Little Russian being his...
Well...
No. Yes.
Second.
Yes. His 2nd symphony. Oh, I think you have 2 marks there. You've got that one right. 2 out of 2. Operas, and what might laughingly be called their plots. Most operas are based on a literary work by someone other than the composer, sometimes somebody quite famous. For instance, Othello was by Shakespeare, a well-known playwright, long before it became an opera. David, the author or playwright, please, and the composer of Pelléas et Mélisande.
Composer is Debussy.
Mm-hmm.
The book, so to speak, was by Maurice Maeterlinck.
Thank you. 1 + 1 = 2. Dennis, the original author, please, and the composer of La Traviata.
Is that the one about the lady with the hacking cough?
It's one of the ones about the lady with the hacking
La
cough.
Bohème is another, isn't it?
La Bohème is another, but that's not
two
the
operas I've dropped in. It was the lady with the camellias, La Dame aux Camélias, by Alexandre Dumas. And it was written, Verdi. Giuseppe Verdi, or Joe Green.
Yes, that's right.
Dennis, I don't know if you remember, but years ago in Take It From Here, we wrote a joke that Verdi had to take somebody else's play because he knew demo about camellias.
We also wrote a song about Verdi. Do you remember? Verdi Blue.
Ian, Salome, taken directly from...
Oscar Wilde.
Yes, Oscar Wilde's play. Music by...
Richard Strauss.
2 marks. Frank. The Moon and Sixpence.
The Moon and Sixpence. Didn't even know it was an opera. I knew the first act was made into an opera, the Sopny opera. It was Moon and Sixpence was a story by W. Somerset Maugham.
For a mark. And the composer?
John Gardiner.
Yes, not quite. It's Gardner. There's no I in the name. He wrote the music for the opera The Moon and Sixpence. And you have 2 marks. Let's move on. Film songs. The name of the song, please, the name of the film it came from, and 2 stars from the film. David Franklin. Going to get success here, I think.
The Sounders of the River, from a story by Edgar Wallace.
Well, I didn't ask that. The song,
what?
The name of the song.
What did you say?
Name of the song, please.
I was just telling you the story was from Edgar Wallace.
I wasn't asking.
No, but you see, Frank and I regard it as one of our functions gradually to increase the sphere of your knowledge.
My knowledge, yes.
And at the start, that particular voice was Paul Robeson, and there was also in the film was Leslie Banks.
That's right, yes. Dennis, again, please. Song, film, and 2 stars.
Baby, you'll freeze out there. It's up to your charming knees out there.
You've really been
I when you touch my hand.
don't you see?
How can you do this thing to me?
There's bound to be talk tomorrow.
People always talking.
At least there will be plenty in
What if you got pneumonia?
I ought not to say, but I can.
It comes from an Esther Williams picture.
Yes, that's got you half a mark for Esther Williams.
I can't remember the name of it.
Well, you know the name of the song for a mark, don't you?
Baby, It's Cold Outside.
Yes, that's right.
She was a sort of wet Doris Day.
Yeah.
Who?
That was what her director said about her, actually. She's great when she's wet. Yeah.
Whose offspring would you expect her to be?
Whose offspring? Oh, is it? Oh, what a very good clue. Yes, it's very crossword. Neptune's daughter.
Neptune's daughter, yes. I think half a mark, don't you, Al?
I think you take a mark for the
And you got Esther Williams, and I want 1 more star, please.
Oh, that was the one she did with Red Skelton.
Yes, Red Skelton. You've got 2.5 out of 3. Well sorted out, Dennis, that was. Ian, what's this?
You belong to
No, you were meant for
Meant for me, and I was meant for you.
1 mark. Film and the stars.
Singing in the Rain.
We're wet again.
Yes, we are, aren't we? Yes.
Singing in the Rain.
I heard what your partner said. Singing in the Rain,
Yes.
yes. Couple of stars.
Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly for 1, yes.
Yes.
Another one.
Donald O'Connor.
Donald O'Connor.
Yes.
I've got a marvellous answer service here.
Yes, yes.
Debbie Reynolds. Gene Hagen played the film star. Do you remember the marvellous
can't
thing?
stand it.
Yeah.
That's right. You've got 3 out of 3. I thought Dennis might also add the gratuitous information that same song appeared first in Hollywood Review of 1929.
Written by Herb Nacio Brown.
Yeah, Nacio Herb Brown.
No, Nacio Herb Brown. Yeah.
That's right. You've got 3 anyway. Frank, do you know this?
So anytime you're getting low, still letting go, just remember that there goes another rubber tree, just loves another rubber tree. There goes another rubber tree plant.
It was originally sung by Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
I'm on my own here.
You are.
It was Bing Crosby. We won't ask that, unhappily. And I might as well have the Archbishop of Canterbury sitting next to me. For all the help I'll get on films of the 40s.
I have considerable optimism that you might get the title of the song.
Oh, it's... Have you got one of these odd titles which doesn't come in the...
I've just given you the father and mother of all clues. Considerable optimism, I said. I can't give you any more, can I?
No.
High Hopes is the title of the song.
Was it the title of the film?
Hole in the Head was the title of the film.
How very apt.
You opt Frank Sinatra for half a mark. Can you essay another star from Hole in the Head?
Lassie.
Not quite.
I bet there's a cute little girl in it.
Not quite. The other stars of the film, Edward G. Robinson, Eleanor Parker, Carolyn Jones, Thelma Ritter was in it, also Keenan Wynn. Let's move on. Composers and their lives. And there are 4 marks available here to each of you. David, this man was called to the bar in 1885. His first song was What Will You Have to Drink? He married an Edwardian star and composed the music for 2 famous musical comedy girls. Can you please name the man, his wife, and the 2 girls?
The man was Lionel Monckton.
1, yes. His wife?
Tempted to say that his wife was Phyllis Monckton, but I don't think that's true.
No. Edwardian.
2 of the shows that he wrote.
The 2 girls.
2 girls,
yes,
whom he wrote.
Yes. The Something Girl and the Something Else Girl.
Oh. Was one of them the Gaiety Girl?
No, unfortunately, no.
Pity.
I have to tell you, won't I, the shows were The Country Girl and The Quaker Girl, and you don't know the name of Lionel Monckton's wife then, in real life?
No.
Mrs. Monckton.
Very famous Gertie Miller. Gertie Miller was the wife. So that's 1 out of 4, and we move on to Denis Norden. Denis, this chap published over 200 songs, some of them still among the world's favourites, but he was a drunkard, a spendthrift, and he died a pauper aged 37. Who was he, and can you name 3 of his songs?
Oh, did they make a not terribly outstanding film about him called Swanee River?
They did. So
it's
he's...
Stephen Foster.
1 mark, yes. 3 songs.
Well, Swanee River.
Yes.
Way down a pond.
That's the same mark.
Yeah. Genie with the light. Old Folks at Home.
Yes.
And Genie with the Light.
Yes, only Swanee River is Old Folks at Home, so that's only 2 out of 3.
Yes, well, there's Beautiful Dreamer.
Yes, that'll do
Beautiful
nicely.
Awaken to the Swanee River Old Folks at Home.
You have 4 out of 4. Also, Oh Susanna, My Old Kentucky Home, Genie with the Light Brown Hair, Old Black Joe, Camptown Races, and others. Ian, his professional life as a pianist ended when he dislocated his fingers using a device of his own invention. And I can only tell you it wasn't funny for him. Anyway, let's begin. He turned to composing, but became mentally unstable, throwing himself into the Rhine at the age of 44. Who was he? The full name, please. What was his wife's profession? And who was her lifelong composer friend?
Would it be...
Yes?
Schumann?
Yes, you're right. His first name, please, for your second mark.
Robert.
Robert Schumann gets you 2 out of 4 now. His wife's name, his wife's profession, please, and who was her lifelong composer friend?
I don't know a profession, no.
Have a shot at the composer.
Oh, Brahms.
Brahms is right. Her profession, Clara Schumann, piano teacher. One of the greatest piano teachers of the 19th century, really. 3 out of 4. Frank.
Teaching pianos.
They met, Frank, in 1920 and teamed up on behalf of a project for Columbia University. For 5 years their work was rejected and they considered going back to their former jobs, which were as a translator and the other as a children's underwear salesman. Who were they, what was their first work together, and what split them up?
Is one a composer and one a lyricist?
Yes.
Rodgers and Hart.
Yes, you've got 2 out of 4 already. What was their first work together, and what split them up?
I think Death split them up.
Yes. Hart's death in 1943. That gets you a mark. I'm not sure their first song together wasn't their best, frankly. It's one of the ones I like best.
I've no idea what their first was.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
Manhattan. You got 3 out of 4. Right, so we go on to our next round. This is where Messrs. Dalley and Chinn come in, keyboard music purveyors. And they begin to play some old favourites, and we ask you to continue the song. 3 marks available here, and here's the first from David.
Shenandoah, I loved your daughter. Away I'm bound to go 3, 4. Across the wide Missouri.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. 3 marks, a fair treat from David Franklin. Here's a song from Denis Norden.
What did I do? Got it. What? Oh dear, I've got a frog in my throat. Shut up and let the frog sing. I've missed it again. You're driving me crazy. What did I do? What did I do? My love for you makes everything hazy, turning the skies of blue. Then it goes terribly. It goes, the friends are near us and cheer us and beer us and whatever you do to hurt me, desert me when I needed you. You're driving me crazy. This is the song you can say to somebody, do you know a song called You're? If they say no, you sing you're driving me crazy. Have you had enough? Because I have.
When it comes to singing, he's a man who doesn't know fear, isn't he?
Well,
he just doesn't know the meaning of the word. 3 marks, that is.
This is going to be issued in LP form.
Here's the real singer
Music
of the bunch.
for breaking a lease by.
Here's some singing from Ian Wallace.
Oh, Geordie and Bob Johnson were lying in one bed in a little lodging house that's down the shore.
Down the shore.
Before he'd been an hour asleep, a kick from Geordie's foot made him waken up to roar instead of snore. Keep your feet still, Geordie, hinny, let's be happy through the night, for I may not be say happy through the day. So give me that bit comfort, keep your feet still, Geordie lad, and divn't drive me bonny dreams away, dreams away.
3 marks and a song from Frank.
And make a tweet.
And that's the end of the game, I'm afraid. A victory this week for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden by 2 marks. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. At the keyboards were Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn, and the chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the program was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the teams.
It's My Music once again. The competition is, as always, between David Franklin and Frank Muir, representing reason, Denis Norden and Ian Wallace, representing sanity, over on this side. David, composer, please, and title. And the composer's name, you'll find, begins with the letter H.
Well, the music's no problem. It's,
The composer.
music Zampa, isn't it?
Yes, that's a mark.
Well, H for Hoffenbach?
No. I give you his years, 1791 to 1833.
Well, give me those years back.
And I give you 1 out of 2. The composer was Herold, H-E-R-O-L-D. Dennis, what's this, and by whom? A subtly played version, but recognise it nonetheless. I hope.
It was one of those, every now and again, these bits of music which everybody knows except me, I get letters about, and Ian assumed that I knew it, so he just sat back, and in the last 2 bars, he realised he nearly sprained his wrist getting the pen undone. However, we have arrived at Handel.
Yes.
I think you've got the apostrophe in the wrong place, because I know it should be where'er you walk, but this reads where'er you walk.
Never been entirely certain about that apostrophe.
Anyway, you've got 2 marks, Dennis.
Costa's song, it comes out.
Ian, what's the title of this orchestral piece?
Composer beginning with H.
Yes.
It's not Harty.
No.
No, and it's not Hans Werner Henze either. Oh, yes, Holst.
Yes. Gustav
Holst.
The composer. Now, the title of the orchestral piece.
Yes.
It came.
The Planets.
Yes. It was Jupiter from the Planets suite. Frank, what's this, and by whom?
It's the composer who takes 2 lines to write.
I know you know.
Is Humperdinck.
Yes.
And it's an opera about Parliament, Hansard and Gretel.
2 marks for Frank there. Here's another round. Questions of general musical interest, I like to think. And I hope the answers will be of equal general musical interest, if not more so. David, the ass uses its jawbone to eat with. How do musicians use it?
It's not used as a percussion instrument, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is. All right, it's used as a percussion instrument.
Roughly where?
Styx Gibbling used to have one in the...
Oh, it's used in a dance band, isn't it?
Well, yes. I was looking for Latin American, really. Cuban,
Oh, I see.
Our Cuban friends adorn the ass's jawbone with bells and use it as a Latin American percussion instrument. Dennis, why was the can-can called the can-can?
It was supposed to have started when a mouse ran across the stage. Do you know, I know the answer to this, but I honestly don't think it can go beyond these four walls.
According to the question compiler, the word meant scandal or malicious gossip, and the dance itself was considered scandalous, so it's called the can-can or the scandal. Let's see how you get on, Ian. What and when, Ian, was the first hit parade to be so called?
Well, I think it goes back to the 20s, probably.
Not quite.
No.
I can remember, again, in my extreme youth, that one could go into a music shop and see an advertisement which said, snappy hits for sixpence. So that presumably the word was in usage for music at that time. There's
Dennis,
something coming
I think
through
Dennis
on the,
is writing
there's
it
something
down
coming through on the telex here.
Doing a small essay while... All right.
It was a radio program on the Armenian radio.
American can.
Sorry, correction, American radio, about the middle 30s.
Yes, exactly. 1935. It was an American radio series. You have 2 out of 2. Incidentally, the very first chart topper, as you might say, in Hit Parade was Lovely to Look At.
Delightful to know. And heaven to kiss.
You're very kind. I endeavour to oblige. Frank, who were the Rhythm Boys and who did they sign on for?
The Rhythm Boys was an American close harmony trio, I think.
Yep.
And they sang with Paul Whiteman's orchestra.
Yes.
And 1/3 of them was Bing Crosby.
Yes. Do you happen to know the other 2 names?
Would it be silly?
Yeah, it's a lovely full answer for 2 marks out of 2. Dennis, do you know the other 2 names? Just for interest.
Harry Barris and Al Rinker.
That's right. Good. And Harry Barris, you know, appeared for years in Bing Crosby's films, just in small parts, playing the piano at parties and things like that. A rather nice touch using his old friends from the good old days. Anyway, 2 out of 2 there for Frank Muir. And a new round, this time opera, or perhaps operetta. I'd like, please, the name of the work and the name of the composer. David.
It's Aida by Verdi.
Yes, the aria you happen to know anyway, O Patria Mia.
Oh, Patria Mia.
Yes, 2 marks out of 2. Dennis, this comes from an opera, but you may know it from a film, and since it is really very difficult, I'll give you the marks for the song title and the film title. Sheer heaven, that voice, I think. You know who was he, don't you?
Elizabeth Schwarzkopf.
Yes. Anyway, do you know the opera or the film?
Is it Valse Gris? Is it?
No, that was...
that was Carnet de Bal.
Carnet de Bal,
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Was it a French film?
No.
No, I don't know.
Hollywood film.
I don't know.
Title, The Opera Ball. The composer, Heuberger. The song, The Kiss in Your Eyes. And the film, Emperor Waltz, Bing Crosby. Here's one for Ian Wallace.
Dennis has suggested that it's just the off-mic aria. And it is very difficult, this, because the singer is not on the stage at the time. But it comes late in the evening, so maybe the audience are just listening to the beauty of the sound. It is from Don Pasquale by Donizetti.
Yes. 2 marks. Frank, No, Frank, honestly, try this one first by yourself, and then if you must, turn to your partner, who I can tell you knows the answer. But try it on your own first.
Voice. It's David Franklin singing.
No.
What?
No.
No. Oh, Lord. Well, it's a rather good voice, actually. Stop proceedings. It was? Rosencavalier.
Go on. Rosencavalier, yes. Rosencavalier, der Rosencavalier.
Das Rosencavalier.
Opera by
Richard Strauss.
Yeah, not Das Rosencavalier.
No, Der Rosencavalier.
Der Rosencavalier by Richard Strauss. You've got it anyway, Frank. I tried to keep your partner out of it because David was, in fact, a memorable Baronox in Rosencavalier, and I knew he'd recognise it straight away. Here are some nursery rhymes. I'd like the title of the song, please, and for a second mark, supply the missing words. Now, listen very carefully. David Franklin.
The King of Spain's daughter came to visit me, and all for the sake of my little...
And it's suggested that the missing words are bay tree.
Not quite. No, different kind of tree.
May tree.
No.
Elm tree.
No.
Oak tree.
Nope.
Boot tree.
No. Put him out of his misery, audience.
I'm not miserable.
Nut tree.
Nut tree.
Nut tree.
How dare you say put him out of his misery? I'm not miserable at all.
Well, it was the audience that was miserable at the time. Nut tree, the missing words. The title of the nursery rhyme, please.
Wee Willie Winky and his nut tree.
I can only give you 1 out of 2. I had a little nut tree was the title. Missing words, nut tree. You'd like to get a whole mark for that, actually. Dennis, here's one for you to complete.
With rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, she shall have wherever she
It's a marvellous breakthrough in communications. The BBC have discovered a whole new way to be dirty.
But dirty cleanly.
Clean dirty.
It's the same joke 4 times this round, I can tell you.
Rings on fingers is Rider Cock Horse to Banbury Cross.
Yes. And the missing word she shall have?
Music, wherever she gets.
Yes, the answer's much duller than the question, isn't it? 2 marks.
I give one of those little dull nuggets of information, like David does. It's a marvellous example of a transferred hyphen in the title there, because people always write it as ride a COCK hyphen horse. And it's originally ride a hyphen COCK, which means astride. There, it's utterly useless, but... you know, dull.
You've got 2 marks. Ian, here's yours.
Jack fell down and broke his...
Nasty. Crown.
Yes, that's right.
And it's Jack and Jill.
Yes, that's right, yes. To Crown. 25 pence, actually.
Yes. I have nothing to add to that.
No. Frank, your question, what did he have and what did he do with it?
There was a little man and he had a little...
That was a completely onomatopoeic sound.
Yes.
The nursery rhyme man had a little gun.
Yes, and what did he do with it is the other mark.
Shot something with it.
Yes, he shot a duck. That's right. 2 marks there. This is where Messrs. Dalley and Chinn come in, keyboard music purveyors. And they begin to play some old favourites, and we ask you to continue the song. 3 marks available here, and here's the first from David.
I'll go no more a-roving with you, fair maid. A-roving, a-roving, a-roving's been my ruin. I'll go no more a-roving with you, fair maid.
Thank you for 3 marks. Thank you. And Dennis will now sing.
And if you go, and if you go, and if there's someone on her, don't think it's me, 'cause nobody's going to that girl but me.
You've beaten us at our own... Sorry, I must have. Anyway, you're right. You gave us the sort of second half of the chorus there instead of the first half.
You're not going to get anything with this voice.
No, you did very well. You got 3 marks. Here's one for Ian Wallace.
With a young girl from Gateshead, and I calls her me dove. She's called Cushy Butterfield, and she sells yaller clay. And her cousin is a muckman, and they call him Tom Gray. She's a big lass, she's a bonny lass, and she likes her beer. And they call her Cushy Butterfield, and I wish she was here.
Thank you for 3 marks. Thank you. Here's Frank Muir with the song.
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, I met my little black-eyed girl. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside.
Thank you for 3 marks. Gentlemen, as you move around the international musical scene, appearing here and there, lecturing, adjudicating, advising, you must have noticed how many foreign words we use in music, like rondo and lieder, and flamenco, etude, and so on. So, for 2 marks, David Franklin, what are trommelkloppel?
Spell, please.
Trommelkloppel.
Trommelkloppel. Is it a percussive thing?
That's right, yes.
Ah. Well, it comes a passage in every work.
Till Eulenspiel, when they get that damn great drum, you trommel it with a clockle, don't you?
Is it a small percussive instrument?
No, it's not a percussive. It's to do with a percussion instrument. It activates a percussion instrument.
When they're standing over the triangle, they're reading the thing, and they get trommelklomp, and they go ting.
No, you must get a much bigger noise than ting from trommeling your kloppel. Quite honestly, Steve, I don't know.
No, well, since you don't know, you've done jolly well to get 1 out of 2, haven't you? Drumsticks. Trommel, kloppel. German.
Oh, the things that you have when the rest of the turkey's been finished.
Yes, come to think of it, yes. Anyway, you've got 1 out of 2. Dennis, what are putty?
Putty is... Putty are, yes, you're quite right. Putty are an Italian choreographer's word for describing the first half of the movements you have to do in the hokey-cokey. Put your left arm, you put your right arm. Those are known as the putty, and then when it comes to shake it all about, they're known as the shaky. Have you any idea what they are?
They're also quite useful for repairing broken windows.
Yes. You can have a jam putty.
To tell you the truth, they cause broken windows because they're Italian choir boys. Putty.
I've never been accompanied by Italian choir boys in my...
Yeah. Nevertheless, I think you should have 1 mark for ingenuity, don't you, audience? Yes, that's right. So if your ingenuity gets you a mark. Ian, what is a vinata?
What are they?
A vinata?
Yes.
Something to do with wine?
Yes.
Is it somebody who fills a lot of wine bottles with different levels of liquid and then goes ding dong ding ding?
The bells of St Mary, don't you?
And then plays bells across the meadow. No.
Or a drinking song.
Ah, you've got 2 marks. Well, there you are. A vinata is Italian for a vintage song or a drinking song, and Ian has 2 marks. Frank, what would a musician understand by chanter à livre ouvert?
That's French. It means singing with an open palm note.
And a comb.
The sort of thing you get printed in French hymnals. It's service non compris. Am I warm?
You get 1 for your excellent pronunciation, of course. 1 mark out of 2. It means to sing at sight, to sight sing, to be able to sing, open a book and sing instantly without preparation.
Not a very funny answer.
No, it's not funny.
Just open the Encyclopedia Britannica and start singing the Messiah.
Or the telephone directory. Yes.
Songs from the shows. The name of the song, please, and the name of the show from which it came. David.
At 17, he was in love quite madly with eyes of tender blue. At 24, he gets it rather madly with eyes of a different hue.
At 104.
You know it, come on.
Yes, Bachelor Gay?
Yes, The Bachelor Gay is right for a mark. And the name of the show, please. The name
Oh.
That shook him. That put you back in your place, Diaz.
Yes, indeed, indeed. It's something like, it may not be right, but it's something in the right period. The Arcadians.
No.
It isn't? What is it?
It's very nearly the right period.
Made of the mountains.
Made of the Mountains?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, Josie Collins and all that.
Dennis, again, title and show.
Name to remember is better than having ice cream. It doesn't hurt to flirt a bit, but use it as bait. Make your catch, make your match before it's too late.
Buzz too many rings around, right?
Yes, about who? Around who?
Around Rosie. We'll
Rosie,
never
1
get
mark.
Rosie a ring from No No Nanette by
Yes.
Vincent Youmans.
Yes, that's right. I didn't ask for the composer, but you're right about him too. 2 marks out of 2. Ian, what's this and from what? And try it without Dennis's help.
Maybe tomorrow I'll find what I'm after. I'll throw off my sorrow, beg, steal or borrow my share of laughter.
Would that be Stop the World I Want to Get Off?
No, it'd be the other one.
The roar of the grease paint and the some smell of the crowd.
Yes, that's the one.
It's the right sort of period, wasn't it? Yes. And the name of the song. This is Anthony Newley.
What's the song called?
It's right there on the tip of my tongue.
Who can I turn to?
Who can I turn to? Yes.
1 mark out of 2. Frank, here's yours.
Like those stumble bums to see for a fact, the kind of top draw first-rate chums I attract. All I can say is, wow, me look at where I am. Tonight I landed, pow, right in a pot of jam. What a setup, holy cow, they'll never believe it.
If my friends could see me now.
Ah, there's a mark.
From Sweet Charity.
Sweet Charity is right. And that's the end of the game, I'm afraid. A victory by 2.5 marks for David Franklin and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. At the keyboards were Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn, and the chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the teams.
It's My Music. On my left, Frank Muir and David Franklin. On my right, Denis Norden and Ian Wallace. First round. Title and composer, please. And the composer's surname begins with the letter K. David. David.
Reisler.
Yes. 1 mark.
Kublai Khan.
And
Now, what its general title is, known by ordinary people, we can afford to discard.
You'll be lucky.
Because that's really inaccurate. What it should be called is Bagatelle.
What is it called by our stupid idiots?
Yes. I'm accustomed to having my bluff called, and I call you your bluff right back, David. It's never been called...
I almost got away with that until you fucked it in. Why can't you be quiet, Frank?
Never been called Bagatelle by man nor beast. Do you know the common or garden plebeian title for it?
No, I don't.
Never mind. Never mind, you've got 1 mark out of 2, David. The title, Chinn Rosmarine. Dennis.
The lady said it in the front, actually, quite unnecessarily, because in this case they've tempered the wind to me. It's by a composer who I'd much rather say than spell, Khachaturian.
Yes.
It's called Sabre Dance.
2 marks. Ian Wallace's turn. Pretty flute bit on the end.
Very pretty.
Yes.
This is one of the times when one thanks one's stars for being a disc jockey on occasions to this sort of music. And that is from the Countess Maritza, and I think sometimes called Play Gypsy or Tsigani, something or other. The composer is Emmerich Kallmann.
Emmerich Kallmann is right for your 2nd mark. Frank Muir, what's this and by whom? Lovely music.
My colleague on my left said before the question was even asked, he said, I bet you a bob yours as could tell me.
That's right. Yeah.
Before you'd even played the music.
It's in a Persian market.
Yes, it's in a Chinese monastery.
Well, now, you've got a mark for Catelby. Let's have the title.
The Chinese...
In a Persian market.
That's a Persian market.
Go on, you try it.
In a Persian market.
No marks, sorry.
Kindly leave the podium.
1.5, Frank, because you had it right, even if David didn't. In a Chinese temple garden was the correct name. So, half a mark for Chinese.
Tacit, sir, tacit next round.
This next round is all about virtuoso instrumentalists. People like Chrysler and Paganini, Crazy Otto and Oistrakh, people like that. Duane Eddy. The question then is, what instrument does he or she play? David, Rostropovich.
Cello.
Yes, a mark there. Dennis, Wilhelm Kempf.
Wilhelm Kempf plays outside right.
Plays very well.
Do you know, Ian?
Berlin Wednesday.
Giving him a spaniel.
Kempf. Spelt K-E-M-P.
Kempf.
Kempf.
Yes. Wilhelm Kempf. With a fortissimo on the end of Kempf, actually.
Perhaps he plays the fiddle.
He plays the flipping piano, actually. Most distinguished pianist. No marks there. Ian, E. Power Biggs. He couldn't possibly play anything else. E. Power Biggs.
The mighty Wurlitzer organ.
Well, the organ, yes, the organ. Yes. I think he was an organist from the moment he was christened, actually, with a name like E. Power Biggs. Anyway, there he is, playing the organ, and you get a mark. Frank, Roland Kirk.
Roland Kirk.
Roland Kirk.
Roland Butter. Don't know that I'm familiar with the gentleman. Shall we take a flyer?
Yes.
Jew's harp.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if he didn't play the Jew's harp.
Is he a multi-instrumentalist?
Yes.
He's not the chap who has 6 saxophones sticking out of his gob, is
That's
it?
the one. You've got your mark, yes.
Well done.
Saxophones, flutes, hunting horn, probably the Jew's harp as well. 1 mark anyway to you. And of course he invents instruments of his own. For instance, the manzello and the stritch are 2 instruments he invented. Very painful, the latter. And he does place several mouthpieces in his mouth at the same time and blow. And we move on to the next round. At least 2 of our contestants have toured the international opera circuit. And
Programs.
You can't actually tour the opera houses of Europe without picking up a smattering of languages, and Ian, for instance, can say in 8 languages what time's the tea break. Here, anyway, are some international songs and singers. For a mark, who's the singer? And for a second mark, what is the song about? So it's the singer and the subject of the song. David.
Ich bin die Fischelade, Liftig der Saison. Ich hab ein Pianola zu Haus in mein Salon. Doch will mich wer begleiten, da unten aus dem Saal. Den hau ich in die Seiten und tritt ihm aufs Pedal.
Terrible diction. I can tell you, it sounded to me in German.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What?
Well, the lady with the despicable...
It's a lady?
The lady with the... the lady with the awful German accent was Marlene Dietrich. David Franklin.
A maxi singer.
And for the other mark, if you can reclaim it, what was the song about?
I've no idea.
Well, I can't give you any marks. I'll give you...
I wouldn't ask you to.
It's a song about naughty little Lola, the smartest girl in town. Let's move on and see how you get on, Dennis. Once again, please, the singer and the subject of the song.
明明是蓝蓝青青的长天，为什么还有叮叮当当的声音？听不出是怨还是情，等不出是梦还是真。
I think that's side Chinn.
Yes, there's a mark. Good.
And I don't know what the song is. Is it the one from World of Susie Wong?
It is, actually, yes. The ding-dong song, with bells here and there to give the idea, you see. Fair enough. Ian, people still write to me sometimes and say you get all the hard questions, and this, I think, should cheer them up.
Un fiacre allait trottinant, tiens, Julia, hop là, un fiacre allait trottinant, jaune avec un cocher blanc.
The singer Jean Sablon, and the song Le Fiacre.
Oui.
And there is a man and a woman in the cab.
He's going to go through the whole dreary story.
and the husband hails the cab.
It's always her husband.
Her husband. Her husband is standing in the bois, and the fiacre comes past, and the wife is with somebody in the cab. And he won't stop, the cabby. He won't stop for the husband, you see. It's very simple.
They're having what Sai Ching calls a ding-dong.
And that gets you 2 marks. Thank
Merci, monsieur.
Any time in French. Frank Muir, again, please, singer and subject.
Isn't it this one that comes rather surprisingly from the Far East?
Yes.
The subject, of course, is love.
Very true, actually.
And it was sung by a gentleman of the area. It's an indigenous...
a native of that place,
yeah,
you might say.
That sort of thing.
Kiyo Sakamoto was singing Sukiyaki, and part of the words were, rather sweet thought, I look up when I walk so that the tears won't fall. Rather nice idea, you see. Look up like that and the
they
tears
go into
won't...
your ears and you go all dead. That's a silly idea, isn't it?
I just had a look at our scoreboard, and at this stage of the game, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden are leading by 3.5 marks. And a new round, this time opera, or perhaps operetta. David, can you tell me a musical connection, please, between Tom Jones and Ted Jones?
If I knew who Ted Jones was. Who was Ted Jones?
Edward German.
For tonight.
Tom Jones of the opera.
Was Ted Jones Edward German's real name?
That's right, 2 marks. Dennis, what's the musical connection between Van Johnson, Eddie Albert and Robert Preston?
The musical connection is the Music Man.
Yeah.
Robert Preston played the lead on Broadway and in the film. Eddie Albert played the lead in the National Company, and Van Johnson played it over here.
Marvellous. Remember... You certainly have 2 marks. Because you're rather an authority on musicals, can you cudgel your brains and tell me the name of the character they played?
Professor Harold Hill, my friends, in River City's going to have a boys' band.
Yes, that's right. Yes. It was written on his suitcase in the first scene, wasn't it? Professor Harold Hill in The Music Man. Ian, what does intermezzo mean, and why is it perhaps a little unexpected that Cavalleria Rusticana should have one?
Well, because Cavalleria Rusticana is normally described as a one-act opera, and an intermezzo is a piece of music that normally takes place between 2 acts.
Hence the name?
Intermezzo.
Intermezzo meaning...
Something in between, well, in the middle, in fact.
the middle, yes. Thank you. 2 marks. Frank, Rossini, Massenet, Wolf Ferrari and Prokofiev all used the story for musical works. What is the story, and for your other mark, who originally wrote it?
Original story is Candle Arbor. So, there's an eye in the middle. Cinderella. Yeah. David.
That's better.
Written rather beautifully here. Cinderella, I know this, that the story, the first pantomime was supposed to be written by the great Victorian pantomime writer. I doubt very much whether he wrote the
original story of Cinderella.
Well, I just
Perrault, isn't it?
Yes, Charles Perrault. He wrote the story.
You mentioned Cav and Pag. There is a famous opera house in Italy, a place called Parma, where they had the shortest operatic performance ever. It's the theatre where they love to give the bird if they've got the slightest reason so to do. And on this particular night, to begin Pagliacci, the baritone came in front of the curtain to sing the prologue, which begins, "Se può," which means, "May I?" And the entire audience shouted, "No!" That was the only night when it was Cav and...
Right, here's the next round. This is the point at which Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn start off some musical work or other, and we invite our panellists to finish the song. We begin, as always, with David Franklin.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open shay. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open shay.
There's 3 marks. Dennis, your song.
I saw England's valley and dells. I listened with joy, as I did when a boy, to the sound of the Old Village bells. The log was burning brightly.
Why change key? Oh, well,
because I went from a recitative. Oh, I should... Am I right?
Absolutely.
Am I right?
I thought it was a dynamic change of key.
As they say in Parliament, may I? The log was burning, but to the night that would vanish all sin. Something about the bells were ringing the old year out. And I'll go the rest in spoken again. And the new year in.
It's as good as you're going to get.
All those parts were played by Denis Norden.
The voice of the ball.
Yeah. And he earns 3 marks for that recital. It wasn't singing at all. Never mind. Ian, here's some singing for you and a song I know will encourage you to come in on line number 2.
The sun was declining beneath the blue sea when I strayed with my love near the pure crystal fountain that stands in the beautiful vale of Tralee. Though lovely and fair as a rose of the summer, yet was not her beauty alone that won me. Oh no, 'twas the truth in her eye ever dawning that made me love Mary, the rose of Tralee.
You know, for this programme, David and Ian get an extra 20 guineas each for singing. I get 1 and 9. And Dennis hands a £5 back.
They do tell me that when it comes to Ian's spot in the programme, the traffic actually stops all over the country while people listen to this beautiful bit of singing.
I'm absolutely amazed to be asked in this programme to sing that, because that actually was the very first song I ever broadcast, and it was from the roof of the Empire State Building in New York. I was over there.
They didn't have wireless, did they?
I was over there on a trip in 1939, and I went up to the top as a sightseer, and they had one of these sort of in-town tonight things going on, and they said, is there anybody here from outside the United States? And I put my hand up, and there I was, and they said, what is your hobby? And I said, singing. And he said, well, why don't you boo-boo-boo a little for us? And they said, W.A. Chinn, the microphone in the sky, presents Ian Wallace on the top of the Empire State singing The Rose of Tralee. And it was unaccompanied on that occasion, too.
To continue, or to end our singing round, Frank Muir, your turn.
To love each other, towards the sky above
Why not? Why not, indeed?
How extraordinary. I sang that and nobody noticed.
3 marks. Film music. David, the title of this film, please, and the name of 2 stars from it.
The spirits are coming through well this evening. Got really strong contact. I can see that this is a film called Laura.
Yes.
Just a minute. The rest of the message is coming. Yes, and 2 stars are Dana Andrews and Gene Tierney, did you say?
Not Gene Tunney, Gene Tierney.
Yes. I'm talking with my control.
Yes.
Gene Tierney is what's come through.
Thank you very much. Yes, that would do very nicely. Also, Clifton Webb, and you have 2 marks. Dennis, Trummer Young, Barrett Deems, Billy Kyle. What is their connection, please, with this song?
How well you take some skin. Jazz begins. Take a bass. Man, now we're getting someplace. Take a box. One that rocks. Take a blue horn, New Orleans ball.
Lovely sound. Dennis, do you want the question again?
Trummer Young.
Trummer Young, Barrett Deems, Billy Kyle. What's that connection?
Well, because he sings this chorus, then he sings an ad-lib chorus in which he brings in members of the Louis Armstrong band, which was a special band for this film. It didn't have his usual Pee Wee Russell and those people. Trummer Young was the trombone player.
Yes. Oh, you're doing better than I expected. All right, yes. Barrett Deems?
Don't know. Billy Carr played the piano.
Yes. Oh, you've certainly got 2 marks here with a vengeance. Barrett Deems was the drummer. Yes, 2 marks there. They're all members of Louis Armstrong's All Stars. And to prevent me getting a lot of letters, I might say that this was Louis Armstrong's regular band at the time. The film, of course, being
High Society.
Yes. Ian, let's hear your bit of music first, and then I'll give you the question. Say what, Ian, and in whose presence?
She says, wonderful, wonderful day.
And in whose presence?
Well, ours.
Howard Keel, I should think.
I'll buy that, yes. Howard Keel, in fact, which was the film?
Seven Brides for
Seven Brothers.
Yes. Jane Powell's husband, Adam, played by Howard Keel, in whose presence, actually, she sings the song while rushing around picking spring flowers and things. Yes, you've got 2 marks between you. Frank, film title, please, and 2 stars.
When the idle poor become the idle rich, you'll never know just who is who or who is which. Bold would be rich when everyone's more relative becomes a Rockefeller-tip and pounds no longer itch. What a switch!
Finian's Rainbow.
Yes, and 2 stars, please.
Fred Astaire.
For 1, and...
Tommy Steele.
Yes, would do nicely, or Petula Clark, Keen and Wynne, various other people. And that brings us to the end of our game for this week, which is a win by 2.5 marks for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. At the keyboards were Graham Dalley and Bernard Chinn, and the chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier.